Number 8 says the following is based on information taken from the winter wind studies in Rocky Mountain National Park. 5 weather stations on Trail Ridge Road in Rocky Mountain National Park gave these peak wind gusts in January and April. Does this information indicate the peak wind gusts are higher in January than in April? Again, it looks like it could be 2 samples, but these 2 samples are not independent of one another. For example, this location appears to be much breezier than this location. So the weather stations don't give independent results at the different months. And this is then going to be a matched pair t-test, where the null hypothesis is there is no difference in those 2 times. And the second one says higher in January. So if I subtract L1 minus L2, that would be positive numbers right there. So let's talk about the requirements, and I typed them. There they are. Went back and defined that term there. Okay, so this isn't really an SRS. These were January wind gust in some year and the corresponding April ones in some year. So it's not really an SRS of all the years, but it seems like this might be a reasonable thing to do. The weather stations themselves aren't random. They're the 5 weather stations. But it may give us a good idea for a typical year, if this year is representative of that, is January windier than April. The sample size is, the groups are matched. That's what's going on here. And I don't know sigma, so I'm going to use S. And then it says the sample is small, but it reveals no outliers or extreme skewness. Let's check that out. So I'm going to type these numbers into my calculator. So L1 is 139, 122, 126, 64, and 78. Nothing here. And then these are 104, 113, 100, 88, 61. And then in this one, I'm going to make it L1 minus L2. This is what I'll do my test on. This is where I'll get my X bar and my S. But I want to go ahead and check out a histogram of L3. This is the part where I'm saying it doesn't really reveal a lot of strong skewness or outliers. That's what's going on right there. That's why I said that. And so I'm going to do a t-test. It's essentially a one sample t-test now, where the sample is the difference in these 2 numbers. And so I've got the data in L3. A mean of 0 means there's no difference right there. The one-sided greater than test, calculate, chicka chicka whir whir. It's a t-test, so there's 4 degrees of freedom. There's my t-test statistic of 1.24. I'll go ahead and write the DFs there. The p-value is 0.14, and that's pretty big. I'm going to fail to reject. I don't have sufficient evidence to say January has higher wind gusts.